the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Stoned Appetit with your host. As always, it's me, Kip Wilson, across the way. We're going virtual because old sickly boy over there, we're not exactly sure what he's got, but we're excited that he's back. Chris, how are you, brother? You feeling better?
I'm over the hump, I guess you could say. But yes, everything
like
was
0 to like Tavernetta. Where do we stand? Like 5 being a Tamayo, maybe a 4. Like, where would you rank yourself in the food world on your feels today?
on my feels. I would probably a Tamayo if we're going.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm nowhere close to Tavernetta.
Yeah.
You would
I mean, hey, that's your ranking.
Yeah, you would send it back if I was sending something out from that kitchen. You would send it back.
Well, man,
but yeah,
I'm glad you're feeling better-ish.
yeah, I mean, everything was good up until Monday. We'll dive into that later. But yes, I am starting to feel better, and I hope no one out there in the community gets this little bug or whatever it is.
We're not sure exactly what Chris has besides a good attitude, and we're stoked about that. Speaking of good attitudes, let's go over to the queen of the ones and twos. Eve, how are you on this virtual Thursday?
I'm fantastic.
Ooh,
I love it.
A switch from last week's or week before is fabulous. Like
Because
it.
you took mine last week.
I know. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen again.
I wish Chris would listen to our fucking podcast so he would know that she said fantastic on Tuesday. She was actually, she said, I'm doing better than Chris. I'm doing fantastic.
Thank
but
you.
since you didn't catch that, Chris, yeah, you missed a good Fantastico on Tuesday.
Damn it.
I know. Well, Eve, we've been working pretty hard. Are you fired up as I am for the weekend ahead?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm tired, but I'm ready.
Yeah. I mean,
It's coming together.
This is what happens when we work a full 8 hours. Millennials. What are we going to do with them, Chris? Well, we've got a great episode for y'all. We're going to obviously talk about Chris's Dothan mishaps and positivities. We're going to talk about the buzz from Benzinga, aka their fraudulent interviews that they've been doing in the cannabis space. And it makes us question the mass media. Obviously we've had those concerns for years, especially when it comes to representation and how the industry is, I guess, portrayed. And it seems that they're just shooting us in the foot one day at a time so David Daxon can suck a fat ball. And then before we get out of here, we've got a little bit more tea and some Friendsgiving. The city council has decided to remove their far-reaching requests to ban cannabis consumption events. They've pulled that off the docket. We'll talk a little bit about that and how the industry should proceed to be the most effective. That and then an interview with Chef Tajahi Cooke, the Jamaican jerk champion. That man is brining turkeys for Friendsgiving this weekend. We can't wait to host a fundraiser to help bring some awareness to what he does during the holidays. It really is. He's doing the Lord's work, and we don't even believe in the Lord. So we've got a doozy of an episode. But first, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Ricky and Connect for Health Colorado. All right, y'all, we got a great episode. Chris, the enthusiasm when you're not here, I'm not going to lie, Eve is not as combative. She smiles a little bit more, but it's not the I'm excited to pick a fight in the schoolyard smile. It's the okay, it's Thursday, almost Friday smile. So when you're back, she glows with like ferociousness.
That's what we want, right? Y'all aren't trying to wiggle me out of here, are you?
By no stretch of the imagination.
Is it going to be one of those? Is it going to be one of those like, oh, we fixed the glitch? for some reason he's been on.
It'll just work itself out. No,
it's better to fire
podcast-
somebody on a Friday, or is it statistically speaking?
Yeah, there's less controversy and potentially less victims. But speaking of long weekends and people that don't work hard, Milton, Chris, how was your 7-day vacation from working at the museum and for the podcast?
Let's be clear about this. This was no 7-day vacation. It was a Thursday to a Monday. But anyways, it was great. Obviously, people know I'm old, so I went home for my 20th reunion. So I got to see, when you grow up in a small town.
How many of them were left? Like, how many have died from old age? Like, like my
How many of them had
grandfather-
6 children that were barefoot running around?
So I shit you not, one of them does have 6 children, but completely different thing. And it was hilarious because I was talking with her, catching up, like, hey, what are you and your family doing? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, blah, blah, blah. Well, I've got 6 kids and all this stuff. And then the next day I saw him pull up in like a Sprinter type van and just saw kids unloading. It looked like a youth church group, like just folding out of that van. And I was just like, oh my God, that Steph and I started dying out laughing.
Were they wearing matching outfits? Like,
no.
It's so much easier. It's like everyone's wearing seersucker today.
That's what I would do if I had that many kids. I would dress them all the same.
Chris, if you have that many kids, I'm going to perform the vasectomy on you personally because that's torture on Steph. Like, fuck, man. 6 kids? That woman telling her husband to get off it. Jesus.
Wait, was anyone there that like was hot in high school and then you saw him now and you're like, yikes?
No, not really.
Is it still ugly?
Either way.
Yeah. They're either similar attractiveness or similar not attractiveness.
Okay.
But
so no ugly duckling situation where the personality was strong and now the looks followed up 10 years later.
Some of them
Those 38 moms.
Yeah, some of them you can look at and be like, wow, like you've really blossomed, so to speak. So, but yeah,
really PC here today, Chris.
when you go to a small school though, and like some of these kids you went to like kindergarten through senior year, that's like half your lifetime. So it's funny like catching up with those type of people you may have not seen. But
did you tell them about your podcast or did you pull an Eve?
Oh no, they know. I'm not ashamed about it like Eve.
I tell people, just not my parents. There's a difference.
Okay, well they all ask, like some of them asked me about it. They're like, how's the Westward writing? How's the podcast thing? And I'm like, yeah, we're just doing it, putting it to the grind. But anyway, so we had those events. Those were fun and all. Apparently my hometown has Uber now. I think there's only like 3 of them, but safely I avoided the old hometown Dewey and responsibly got an Uber, and that wasn't even a paid ad. Anyways, moving on though, the real reason too I wanted to come home is, for those of you longtime listeners, you might already know this, but maybe not. Dothan is the peanut capital of the world. And so every year we just have a huge Dothan National Peanut Festival. And so it's like a 2-week long fair, and it's out at the Houston County Farm Grounds. And so, they'll have livestock, they'll have freaking tractors out there showcasing the newest products from John Deere and all that stuff. It's hard not to talk like that when you're describing this. But anyways, it's just a celebration of the year's harvest being over with. So when you walk in there, growing up in a town in the South, you have all those smaller counties right outside, and those are usually a little more country folk, we like to say, I guess.
Time out, Chris. Your accent is brutally different right now. Like outside is what you literally just said.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the MAGA coalition rubbed off on you or what, but I am loving this accent. I just have to get that out there. I hope they give away free skull.
I tried to accentuate it on that corn dog video.
I saw.
We're down here at the Houston County Farms Ground National Peanut Festival. Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, people come from out of the woodwork. So the people watching is a 10, maybe even 11. It is exceptional. You've got people wearing their high school football jerseys out there, which is just, I mean, that is just good, clean fun.
Is it like just friends, like old Baldwin people that are like, yeah, I lettered in 1988?
Well, you have some of that. You definitely have some hometown heroes out there. But it's such a thing. Like growing up, it was where like you could get dropped off, and like if you were in that middle school, high school, you go out there with your girlfriend and stuff like that kind of thing. But they have like all the fair rides that you can imagine. They got a Ferris wheel, they've got those little back and forth things, but the food halls are great. And so a lot of like county high schools, to raise money for band, athletics, they have like a food booth and they'll cook up barbecue and all that stuff. But there's like just these spots where you can go up and get boiled peanuts. And that was immediately first where I was going, because that's a very regional thing, even in the South. Like, I think it's really only truly celebrated in like Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. That's where you can get like good boiled peanuts.
Do you get Cajun or do you just go Classico? Because I love those Cajuns where you can see that little red oil. It almost looks like a BP gas spill on the top of the water. Oh,
yeah.
Love it.
I love the Cajun.
Sorry for the...
No, I love the Cajun too. But since this was Steph's first time ever having boiled peanuts, I just wanted to go OGs. And dude, we picked up, just a solo cup full of them, $4, fantastic. And Steph fucking loved them. She was like,
I bet those were $1 when you were in high school.
Yeah. She was like, I don't know really how to describe the taste. They don't really taste like much, but she was like, I like them. And I was like, exactly. They don't really taste like much. The only thing she could describe them as like, like the husk in like a tamale, like she was like, it's like the masa. She was like, it's kind of mushy like that. But she loved
I feel like it takes a salty brine to it as well.
And then
obviously you went OG, but like if you go that Cajun, it adds a little tickle to the tongue, but it really is. Spots. You're like, what is in my mouth? Like, what is this texture? Like some are mushy, some have a little bit. God, I fucking miss gas stations in the South. Yeah. That and my family on occasion.
Yeah.
Did you bring us any? Did you bring any peanuts home?
No, you can't.
Wow, fuck you.
You can't keep those. I don't know. And TSA is weird about traveling with food.
No, they're not. If it's not liquid, you can bring like a whole sandwich on.
Well,
just say you didn't even care about us.
Yeah,
Chris.
just say you didn't think about us. Just cut to the chase.
No,
say you hate us.
Had I not woken up Monday vomiting, I probably would have brought back some Conecuh County sausage. But
fuck you. That is bullshit for you to name drop that delicious maple.
That's my bad. I was gonna swing by the grocery store on the way to the airport that day, but I had a mishap. But anyways, after we got the peanuts, we were there just to eat food. So I was like, we got to go to the corn dog, man. He's been there since I was a little kid. I wonder if he's still around. And sure enough, he was there. And he advertises the best corn dog in the world. And I'm going to stand by that. Like when we were waiting in line, Steph loved it because so many people were walking out with two, like just double fisting the corn dogs. And Steph and I, we just got one to share because we were going out to eat afterwards. But the second you bite into that cornbread, like it's not bready, it's crispy. It's super crunchy. So it feels like you're eating like almost like a funnel cake that's like wrapped around a hot dog. So goddamn good. And we got it double. Like ketchup and mustard. And the guy just takes a paintbrush and dips it in ketchup and like paints the corn dog and then flips the corn dog and paints it with mustard. Do you go double or do you just go mustard on a corn dog?
So, I mean, I know you're talking to me, not Eve, because I have a sneaking suspicion she doesn't have fun county fair foods like that. But at the same time, like if even if I'm hitting just like a basic Sonic, I have to have mustard. Like that's a deal
Yeah.
breaker because you need that little bit because it oftentimes that breading
Tangy.
is a little sweeter. And if you can get a lighter, less stodgier bread, that's money, like you're speaking about, where it goes crunch, cloud, wiener. That's literally what you look for rather than like the Sonic where it's like crunch, sog, wiener. You
Yeah.
want that cloud in the wiener. And so I have to have that mustard to add that little bite that cuts through the sweetness of the batter. And the ketchup sometimes adds to that sweetness, you know, the
Yeah.
lycopene and fructose. So I like to dip a little bit or have a little hot sauce, a thicker hot sauce, not like a Crystal or
Right.
Louisiana, but like a big boy, you know, almost a Cholula.
Yeah.
Because I like that little spice that counters that breading that usually is sweet, like the funnel cake. But man, anyone that's using a paintbrush, Chris, you know that that's not a fucking hobby. That guy is out there churning and burning wieners, breaded wieners.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I mean, that line was stacked. And the shitty thing about it was we were thinking we could use like a card up there. Oh, no. And we didn't see a sign until we got up there. So then we had to go find an ATM and then
They
get
don't
back.
take EBT at the Peanut Festival because that's not surprising.
Yeah. Because that's good. So, anyways, okay, the last food item of the fair was we were walking out and Steph saw the sign that said elephant ears. And she was like, Chris, what the fuck are elephant ears? And I was like, I was trying to remember in my head because I knew like my sister loved those growing up. And I was like, it's
Shout
like,
out to Martha.
yeah, I was like, it's basically fried bread with cinnamon on top, cinnamon sugar. And like, so it looks like an elephant ear. And it is,
It's
yeah,
like naan for those that
yeah,
don't know, and maybe you're googling it. It looks like naan or like a fry dough, but
yeah.
it's just sweets. It's just straight cavities. It's like if your dad's not a dentist, he's about to pay one. Is how it
Yeah.
felt growing up. God, I love those things.
So
God,
we got one and Steph took, and we were just about to go out to eat with my mom. So we were just trying to snack. And so Steph took one bite of it and was just like, oh, holy shit, this is good. And I was like, you love it. And those, I'll tell you what, those elephant ears aren't cheap these days. Those are like $7 a pop.
well, Chris, they ain't just frying that in vegetable oil. That's good canola oil.
Yeah.
At the same time, I mean, I don't know if it's JB or the Orange Man, but I mean, these costs, while inflation seems to decrease, the price of goods have not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But at the same time, the like an elephant ear would have been $11, you know, if you're
Yeah.
going
And
to Denver.
the one thing we did miss is when we were walking by, they had like a little pig track for baby pig races. And
Oh,
there was a pig
a little
race going on.
gambling.
There was a pig race going on at 3:30, and we made it a point like we're like, okay, we got to walk back around there and catch that race. But that happened to be in the corn dog debacle, and we had to get a corn dog, so we missed the race. So
It happens.
yeah,
It happens. We'll just go
you
to
know,
Santa
that-
Anita next year if you want to watch an animal get slaughtered in mid race.
yeah, we'll pass it.
For my horse racing fans, that's a great goddamn joke.
Yeah,
what
but
was
if
the one thing you wish you would have eaten that you didn't get that like you reminisce when you think about it back home? Like, did y'all? We used to have biscuits that you would get at the Mississippi State Fair when you walk in. It's like the local radio is sponsoring free biscuits or something like that. But the lines sometimes are just not worth it. Was there something
yeah.
that you wish you had clipped that you didn't get to at the fair?
And like this is for many it may not be a big thing, but for me it was like I like to grab a caramel apple at the fair.
That sounds like it would rip out a fucking crown in a heartbeat. God, I'm old as shit too.
I probably ate a couple when I had braces. So that was just probably a fun event.
I mean, damn, I miss county fairs. And I'm not going to Pueblo for the Colorado State Fair, but I know we've had this discussion, and Chris wants to go for politics season to the Iowa State Fair. But just hearing them talk about the Bama one, I think we got to get a group trip Minnesota, Texas. We got to go to one of the big boys where they'll fry the dog from outside the park. They'll fry everything.
Yeah.
That's what I miss those things. State fairs, people watching on a high, great fucking food, and occasionally you get some free Philip Morris swag.
Yeah, of course. Shit.
Any rides? What's the ride scene look like in Dothan?
So
Like jump the zipper?
Yeah, they did. They do. I'm not sure if they still have it because we didn't walk through all the ride areas because now they've changed the game to where it's $10 to get in. And then you used to you would buy just tickets that, you rip off tickets to give to rides. But now you got to purchase a $40 armband and it's unlimited rides.
It's so like $5 to watch, 10 to touch it. We've all been there.
Exactly. But I would say my favorite
Steve. That's like a Casa Bonita run.
No shit. My favorite game though was the horse racing where you had the water gun.
Oh yeah.
And you had to hit it into the bullseye,
and get it to go up.
Or you had to I think there was one where you had to roll a ball, kind of like skee ball, and you hit in and it moved ever so far, whichever bucket or whatever you got it into. I can't remember.
I grew up in a poverty-stricken state as Mississippi. We didn't just have skee ball everywhere, but I will tell you the water hose game is fucking awesome. And they have that at Elitch's. We played that for a birthday, not probably like 5 years ago. That game is a lot of fun, even as an adult. That one's a lot of fun.
Because somebody's going to be a winner because you're competing against everybody on the floor.
That's a very good point. And then it's like you get to compete against your friends rather against the house. It's not blackjack as much as it is poker kind of vibes. I beat you by a second. There's a little bit of bragging rights. That's a good call.
It's not like that carny who can go up that ladder thing and ring that bell who makes it look easy, and then nobody in their fucking right mind can do that.
Where you twist over. That game is fun, but it's also in the same camp as the shoot a basketball through this pancake shaped rim. And so that one, I was a short kid and not a necessarily strong one. So shooting the basketball hoop at 15 feet in an oval was not my cup of tea. I wasn't going to ring that bell, so to speak.
One year I did have to go to the ER 10 minutes after being at the Peanut Festival when I was a kid.
Elaborate, please. What'd you do? Step on a rusty nail? Smoke something you weren't supposed to?
Basically. So those super slides?
Just the
fiberglass slides where they put you in a sack or something and send you down. Well, I must have been I was in between 8 or 10 years old, and somebody put me in the sack. I went up there with my sisters, and I guess one of my legs was caught in it weird or something. And so when I was let go to go down the slide, you're going fucking fast. And my head fell over and my ear rubbed down the fiberglass on the way, and it burned cut. And I came off, and my mom was fucking freaking, and my dad was on call that night. And so the people at the Peanut Festival were like, hey, we'll take you to the ER tent area or mobile trailer or whatever. And so my mom takes us over there. They open the door. My mom takes one look in there, and she's like, absolutely not. Guys, we're leaving. We're going right now. We're calling the doctor. We're going to the ER. Call your dad. And this was I don't think cell phones were in existence.
I was going to say, when you're 10, that's 1991.
Yeah, so I think somehow we borrowed a phone in there. She probably beeped my dad. Probably they had an emergency code, and then we went to the ER. But yeah, my ear was burnt and yeah. So that was fun.
Wait, was it bloody or just burnt?
Bloody and kind of I had to get stitches. But
you probably had to get a tetanus shot.
Yeah.
These things, Eve, I have a sneaking suspicion you don't know. Think carnies. These are carnivals, not fairs. Chris, what was the best thing you ate in Dothan?
Yeah, after the corn dog, I would have to say it was the oysters at my local hometown spot, Hunt's. Always got.
Speaking of raw oysters, tell us about that flight home. And all the followers and listeners know the abridged version from Tuesday's episode. But for those that don't know, tell them about how you pooped and threw up on yourself.
Yeah, everybody's done it. We're not proud, but it's nothing to be ashamed of. That's for sure.
What's
So
our saying here, Chris? There's only two types of people in this world: people that have shit their pants and people that are lying about it.
yes.
So at least we can be upfront about that. And I can't wait to hear the rest of the story. I'm going to mute myself. I know I have a problem doing that.
Yeah, so I think it all occurred Sunday night when we went back down to the beach before our flight because that's where I fly into. Anyways, so we went out and had like a nice dinner, really nice restaurant. And we ordered snapper ceviche, and everybody else ordered a few things, and some people shared entrees or not. But needless to say, I'd felt fine the entire day. There was nothing wrong with me. And then after we get home that night, go to sleep, whatever, have a couple more drinks. And I'm not gonna lie, I did have a few drinks that evening, but that is not the cause. But anyways, go to bed, wake up at 5 in the morning, feeling so nauseous. And I mean, it was just one of those things where I immediately went to the bathroom and just threw myself on the toilet, and I started throwing up everything. I mean, and then like I'd throw up for a little bit and I'd feel okay and I'd go back and get in bed. And then like 30 minutes later, you get that like weird like tongue, like there's some kind of feeling or taste you get on your tongue, when you know you're about to throw up. And so then I just had to move, and I mean, I was throwing up for like 3 straight hours. And I
We
had to
call that saltwater mouth.
okay.
Where it
That's
starts to sweat, your tongue's sweat, and you're like, oh fuck, it's coming.
it is such an awful feeling. And so my body was so badly hurting, and I had to fly out that morning. And so everybody else feels fine in the house. Like there's not a word. And I'm like, guys, I feel like death. And I was violently thirsty just because I think I threw up everything in my body. So don't really chug, but I drink quite a bit of water. I take some like Pepto, thinking, I don't know, maybe something will happen. And we start walking out to the car, and our condo's on the third floor of this kind of smaller condo building. And we start walking out to the car, and I have to stop and I lean over the railing and I just throw up all that water that I drank. And I'm just like, oh my God. And they're like, we might need to like cancel your flight and find another one. I was like, no, I got to get back. Got to do something. So luckily my dad was able to get me some prescription medicine, and I got that. But like the flight was awful. But now everybody seems to be coming down with it. So I don't know. I don't know if it is food poisoning. I'm just like, food poisoning, one of those, it's hard to know if you've had it, but I don't know what else this could have been, because it's not like I felt sick, anytime before.
I think we had a podcast episode shortly after I got it when you and I were living together.
Yeah.
And it was I did that. I ate the recalled pizza and ceviche from the Ceviche Project out of LA. And I was like, I mean, realistically, to this day, it could have been either or, and it's the worst feel. I did fetal position in the shower and just like wept for like 4 hours from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. And you woke up, you're like, whoa, what's wrong? And I was like, fuck everybody, everything. So for the ability for you to get on a flight, Chris, I mean, shout out to modern medicine. You are like so close to becoming the next viral video of American Airlines having to turn their flight around because of a chemical spill in the aisle. You are a braver man than I.
I mean, it's just one of those things too. Like I just felt incredibly weak, and the cramps were awful. Like the stomach cramps, and like I felt like my kidneys hurt. But like, yeah, just being super weak. I felt like I was gonna fall out walking through the airport. So I don't know if
Well,
you felt weak, or I mean, it's just I
oh
had body
yeah. I mean, I
aches,
laid on the couch
chills.
for 2 days, but
Yeah.
you feel like you have abs at the end of it. You're like, did I just lose 10 pounds? Like it's the mean girl diet. And then you like look in the bathroom, you're like, oh, I'm not as pudgy as I was. I'm awfully pale, but I'm not as pudgy.
Wait,
So
Chris, when did you poop your pants? Or did that not happen this trip?
That didn't happen,
Oh, okay.
but it has
He just
happened, and I'm not
Oh,
ashamed.
okay.
I did
Was
it
there
once.
that may,
any
I think
moments though you thought you were close on the plane to losing it, or did like the medicine kick in quick so you were like, okay, I just feel like shit, or were you like
no,
scared the
yeah,
whole time?
yeah. Shout out to whatever these fucking pills are called. They were $80.
Pfizer.
They were $80. I know that much. But yeah, so they like dissolve on your tongue and you just swallow them, and immediately that made me no longer nauseous. Because the whole car ride there, I was like, oh. But yeah, so shout out to those things.
Well, so it sounded like it started strong. You ate well,
Started
finished a little
strong
bit
and ended
less than
shitty.
strong. Yeah.
Ended
Well, I'm
shit.
glad you had fun.
I am.
You ready to have fun this weekend and not shit your brains out?
I'm so ready for this weekend. See a big
Well,
group of people for a good
it's gonna,
cause. I'm ready. But let's dive into this bullshit that's happening.
there's always tea in the industry, as they say, Chris. We've got two stories we want to talk about. I'm going to start with the local story. Shout out to Thomas Mitchell at the Westward, your coworker. He's been covering the city council's handling of the cannabis industry. And so last 2 weeks ago, I think we kind of breached on it, but it was definitely talked about in social media. And with only about 10 days left in the rulemaking process, um, the MED was talking about making it more difficult for people to host cannabis events, tasting events, letting brands and businesses in the industry be directly associated with it. And rather than, like, obviously the objective is for us to have a little bit more leniency so as to generate more tax revenue, as well as open the market up so that we can regain our foothold in things like tourism and everything else like that. They seem to have been going in the opposite direction. Well, I think that the members of the board, whether it be from advocates in the community, business owners, people that pay large amounts of taxes that keep, the Department of Education and other aspects running in this city,
Right.
in this state, I guess, turned their head on that, I guess, possible bill or law that they were going to put into effect. So it was going to prohibit licensed cannabis businesses from participating in unlicensed consumption events. But because of that, as it is a little bit more fickle, as we well know from our friend situations around the community and the conversations we've had on this here podcast over the last couple of weeks and months, it's a little bit different. And so now they're starting to understand that. So we want to give a shout out to the Med for at least doing the right thing, listening to parts of the community that are speaking knowledgeably about this and listening to people that matter in the community. So that was really fucking nice. But for every one step forward, Chris, in the cannabis industry, there's always at least one or two steps back.
Always.
Of course. So a little drama in the cannabis industry. This is more of a nationwide situation, and it's mainly because there's a company called Benzinga. Benzinga is a news aggregator, but they have their own team in place as well. Well, they have this dude that works for them by the name of David Daxon. He was the head of content under their weed umbrella. And for those that don't know, Burner, who is a rapper, is also a mogul in the cannabis industry, and he has a fuck ton of lawsuits looking at him right now. But at the same time, he's still a mover and a shaker to an nth degree. Well, Zinga wanted this interview with him, and he's very open about having conversations. He's worked with folks like LMC, great interview over there on YouTube. He does things with Forbes. He's worked with Grasslands to make sure that he gets out there and talks with people about the issues that he's facing and the community is facing. Well, these fuckers over at Benzinga went a totally different route. They created a whole artificial, intelligent AI conversation interview that I guess they structured. Chris, you may know better as the writer of this here podcast, but they transcribed and put off an interview with them and Burner, which never happened. Absolutely never happened. And so he saw it and he was like, this is not a real interview. I did not do this. And then it got picked up by a guy named Grant Ellis out of Boston who does cannabis news and things of that nature. And it brought it to the attention. It was on like the front page of trending topics on social media the other day because these guys, there was another gentleman as well named Javier Hassi, who I believe is out of South America, but they all just faked this interview and made up phrases that he said to them. And now both of them have removed their titles of Benzinga from their, I guess, pages and whatnot. So I don't know if they were let go or if they're just flying under the radar. But these guys are just faking interviews to try to gain clout, and it burnt their ass mightily. So for those that enjoy cannabis tea, as we've talked about many a times, this one's a pretty big one, right here on the cusp of everyone all, converging in Vegas to talk shit about everyone that's not in the room. So it's going to be an interesting time, but that was a funny story that had to be brought to light, seeing as we cover the cannabis industry.
That's why, like, yeah, that's those guys probably had a meeting with the Bobs, and so it fixed itself. But yeah, you can't fake interviews. Like, you just can't say like, oh, this is what he said when the interview didn't happen. Like, first of all, how long do you think you'll get away with that? Like, because anybody, like, if somebody said, oh, we conducted an interview with Chris Beyer, like, that would come up to me somehow. And then I'd be like, oh, I never said that or talked to these people. Like, that's just dumb. But at the same time, it makes it important that like people get better information from more reliable sources on the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty contentious conversation just because right now is the time where, we just talked about it in the local conversation, which is, we need to have a unified front and the proper messaging and people out in front, especially as we work towards safe banking. We try to get legalization, or at least fucking Joey Bags over there in the office. He's going to have to give it to us in late 23 or 24 if he wants to get reelected. Otherwise, he's going to lose the younger vote. That's my just personal guess. But at the same time, like, we have to have a unified front. You can't have people sandbagging it, especially when folks are coming from other industries and are venture capitalists, hawks from fucking tobacco. You need to have more people on the proper side for this. Right. And so this doesn't look great for those that work in cannabis media. I'll be the first to admit it. But aren't we glad we do all of ours with voice? We need to start doing more videos so that we have more proof in the pudding. But at the same time, this is why we don't write blogs. We might as well dive right into it. We have a kick-ass interview with Chef Tajahi Cooke joining us from Miss Betty's Supper Club, but we're hosting a fundraiser at our new studio to see if we can raise some money to feed the community for Thanksgiving. It should be a good time and a good cause. Yeah, we have a big fire pit that we'll have going. We have heaters, we have video games, we have Pop-A-Shot, Giants Connect 4. We're going to have some dice. We'll have card games going, stuff on the tables. Chris, how good are you at the ring game?
Ooh, I love that game. I love it when they're at bars, like back in the day.
Well, they're going to be at the studio fundraiser. We hope everyone has a great time. We'll also have games going with a little pick'em challenge. It's going to be a great time for a great cause. Like I said earlier, But the best part about it is we get to work and hang out with a lot of our friends who work in the industry. We're going to be able to showcase what greatness they do, even if you may not see it on an everyday basis. So you're going to be able to see it on our social mediums after the fact, and we're going to try to raise a couple $1,000s and feed the community. So that's the best part about it. We'll have giveaways if you can guess how many candy corn are in the jugs. I think we bought all the candy corn from Walmart.
Love that. Love that game.
And then I think we're also going to do whoever scores the most points on Papa Shot is going to win a gift card or something. And then our friends from Potency 710, they do like a CBD skincare. They're going to have a rep on site and giving everyone out skincare regimens so that they can take them for the winter so you don't get cracked fingers. Eve knows what I'm talking about. We both grew up in blistery winters. But at the same time, it's going to be a hell of a party. And we got a hell of an interview coming up right after this with Chef Taj and his wife, Danielle, who is really the brains of the operation. She knows how everything is run, and she does it beautifully. So we're really excited about that. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Ricky, Mr. B's, Starbuds, Meraki, Bensk, Nove Edibles. Oh, and we're going to have a coffee and pie bar. Oh, I'm giddy as a schoolgirl. But I think that's enough for this episode, Eve. I'm so sorry to make you work so much. All right, let's get out of here. Y'all, that was a great episode. We have a great guest joining us for the back half of this, Chef Tajahi Cooke, as well as Chef Danielle Cooke, the wizards behind Miss Betty's Supper Club and the inspiration for our Friendsgiving fundraiser this weekend. I hope y'all enjoy. We look forward to seeing everyone Saturday. Until next episode, don't forget, stay high, stay hungry.
It's giving season.
Gobble, gobble.
Oh my
Fucking
God.
no.
No one wanted to say anything about Chris's bowel movements. Cheers.
Oh, I
Cheers.
forgot. Oh, what would I would have? Shit.
It's cool. As someone who smokes during episodes, we're always out of breath.
Oh, bro, fucking shit. I've been smoking since I was 14, Kip. It's insane, bro. It's
That
insane.
voice
All right.
y'all heard is Chef Tajahi Cooke, and his beautiful wife, Danielle Cooke, is on the Zoom with us here today. We have Chef joining us, as we alluded to earlier in the episode, to talk about next week's community Thanksgiving food fundraiser.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about it in bits and pieces throughout the last couple of episodes, and we probably put it in like the vaguest terms possible. So I wanted to possibly sit down with y'all for, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. This is, our third year trying to be associated and help with this event, but y'all have been doing this a lot longer, and y'all probably have a much more polished message. And seeing as this is y'all's like third time on the podcast, we'll save some of the formalities, but hey, y'all, how's it going?
Hello, sir. It's a pleasure, brother. It's good seeing you.
That voice y'all heard is Chef Taj. Y'all are getting ready. Obviously, we have a big thing coming up this Friday or Saturday, but y'all are running around like chickens with your heads cut off, getting ready for next Thursday's feast of Madsgiving.
Man, I just went and picked up over 700 pounds of onions and carrots and Hobart squash from Miller Farm down in Platteville. You should see the back of my car. It looks beautiful. Amazing.
I love Melissa Miller and what they're doing at Miller Farms. Her partner Forrest with the Southern dankness. I mean,
yes,
I give them shout outs every week for what they do for the community, but same for y'all. So you've had a busy day, but we're getting ready for next week's Madsgiving.
Yes,
Give everybody a quick rundown as to what Madsgiving is and how y'all kind of came about helping the community in this fashion.
I'm the one who break down Madsgiving. I'm gonna have my wife take the turn if that's okay. Go ahead, my love.
I'm ready.
Please.
So Madsgiving is really just an event of love every Thanksgiving. It started with us as two people who moved here. I'm from here, or was born here, but didn't grow up here. So when we had our first Thanksgiving, it was just us. And so it just started with sharing meals and extra food that we had with our neighbors. That extended to taking it to people on Colfax. And then that extended to our first year in 2018, right, my love? Where we took over.
That is correct.
and fed 515 people.
Yes,
The
our
goal,
goal was 500, and the extra 15, it was just enticement. We weren't going to allow any food to go to waste, so we boxed up every single thing that we could, and we got down to 515.
exactly, and
Yeah,
that's what it's
yeah.
year after year is taking any and every resource that we can so that we can feed our community. And it's working with the Salvation Army, working with the Volunteers of America, working even with different churches such as Mount
Hmm.
Air Church in Lakewood, as well as
Main
as
Street Ministry.
you so much. I was going to make you so
Yes.
mad. I forgot his name. We're passing away. And they're a
Yes, it's
congregation and just feeding
mhm.
everyone who's a meal on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, it is. It takes a it takes a community has been our slogan over the last few years. Because that is something that a lot of us grew up with. It take a community to raise a child. It took a village to raise, whoever. And it takes a community to pull off Mad's Given. It takes a contribution and a helping hand and a lending hand from every last one of us, from Kip, you using your amazing platform, Stone to Petite, to Colorado Restaurant Association connecting us with, to the Mile High chapter of the Colorado Restaurant Association making a huge donation when it comes to contributions. Miller Farms, of course, who we shouted out, Redbird, so many different amazing people, such as Zeppelin Station giving us their location for the third year. It's literally been a helping hand and a true force of community, I guess you would say, when it comes to Mad's Given's achievements over the last few years, honestly
Exactly.
speaking.
So
Yeah.
every we just get our community support together, and from Wednesday into Thursday, we're cooking
Yeah.
every we receive for donation and making beautiful warm meals for our community. This year, we're
Hmm.
pledging for over 13,000. My love, what's the count now?
Right now, we're at 13,105 meals as of yesterday afternoon. My goal was to stop receiving requests at the 1st of November, but Kip, you already know you have an amazing heart as well. It's hard to say no. You know what I mean? Especially when there's a need. So we couldn't say no. So we had some organizations reached out to us within the last 48 hours, and I raised my hand, and we're gonna help. So we added on extra 432 meals the last 48 hours, honestly speaking.
I
So
mean, we've said it
yeah,
before, and we believe
yeah,
it when we say y'all are doing the Lord's work. But what y'all are doing is y'all are doing the community and the people's work. Y'all are helping
appreciate you,
out,
brother.
those that maybe not everybody sees or recognizes, or when everyone we joke and we have a lot of fun here on this
Yeah, we
podcast,
do.
and
Oh
in
God.
between these walls, smoking pot and eating dank food, but you
Yeah.
kind of lose sight of the forest from the trees of, or maybe you take for granted those opportunities we have to eat these
Hmm.
meals and things of that nature. And so it's awesome to be able to partner with y'all. Obviously, y'all just mentioned some very prestigious organizations that brutally help out those that are either
Hmm.
marginalized or forgotten by their communities. And
In a major way.
and not just like the Salvation Armies or the U-Hauls,
No.
but the Miller Farms who are
Yep.
always there. And so, seeing this, pardon the pun, grow like a weed, and
Oh
now,
God.
us being able to throw a little bit of a fun little shindig
Excuse me.
with y'all to just, raise awareness, see if we can get 50 more volunteers. I know our community, I know the listeners of this podcast they do so much for their community. It's kind of birds of a feather, I think, is something that
Yeah.
both Eve and my dad have said in recent days, mainly pertaining to me and my dumbass friends doing stupid shit on the weekends. But at the same time, for our listenership and the community we've built through our brand and our company, these are the same folks that want to help out as well. The same people that
Yes.
appreciate a good meal are the same people that know how to give back. And so,
Exactly.
this is a season that's meant for being thankful, for saying thanks, and to give thanks. And y'all are a prime example of that in our community. And so we're fucking stoked to be partying with y'all this weekend. Woo, boy.
Brother, the energy is there. I forgive me for not um showing it too much. We've been going, and but the energy's there. I already have two turkeys brining. Literally, I'm gonna make an amazing vegan mac and cheese. I'm also gonna make my grandmother's dal recipe, which I just love dal over the holidays. You just rip the meat and eat it with some dal and some roti, and you're just in heaven. You know what I mean? So Kip, it's an honor to start out doing something from a studio apartment as just something that we were doing out of the kindness of our heart, the same way we're doing it now. And for us to witness it grow each year. Our first year, we had 17 volunteers, and that was including ourselves. So to give you the idea, from going from 17 volunteers to 178 volunteers last year to 322 volunteers as of this year, brother, it shows community. It shows that there's a need, but it also shows that the community is addressing that need in some ways when we do come together and address these issues. So I'm just appreciated to be in such a community that isn't blind to what's going on. You know what I mean? I'm honored to be in a community that don't walk around as if we don't see the issues at hand and just step over it like a crack in the road or a sidewalk. You know what I mean? It's amazing for me to witness this and be one of the middlemen, as long with my wife, just be one of the humans in between. As she say, we're the gatherers. You know, that's what she's trying to dub me, the gatherer. I think she needs to dub her damn self that as well. It's because she is the reason why I'm the damn gatherer, as she say. You know, I would not have been in the food industry if it wasn't for Mrs. Danielle Cooke. I would have not have been a chef if it wasn't for Mrs. Danielle Cooke. Individuals would not have continued to be fed, and we would not have addressed the issues if it wasn't for her. So for us to play such a role, it's beautiful. You know what I mean? It feels good when we wake up in the morning. When I wake up in the morning after Thanksgiving, as sore as I may be, to know we did this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm looking for that feeling again this year, because this year, starting off as rough as it was with the loss of my mom and the loss of friends and my granddad, September 20th, it was a rough year. But to end it on such a high note, this is what we need to be doing.
I love it.
You know what I
man.
mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
We're
That's
going to have
true.
some fun this weekend, all
Oh,
in the
God.
name of a good cause.
Oh man, if you only know. I'm excited to see Dana. I'm excited to see all these amazing chefs. I saw her dish that she's sending out, so expect my dish information within the next hour. But I was telling Danielle, and we both agreed that Friendsgiving this year, it feels like a little bit of a break in between the chaos. As much as I just went and picked up almost 700 pounds of produce today, and between tomorrow and Friday, I'm going to be running around like crazy. I'm excited to take a moment on Saturday to break bread with you all. I'm excited to take a moment to sit down and do what we haven't done over the last few years on Thanksgiving. We have not our Thanksgiving is feeding others. So we have not sat down and celebrated really on Thanksgiving. So, you know, our celebration is celebrating our community. So it feels an amazing way to sit down and, you know, feel like we're celebrating as well. You know what I mean? At the table, you know, and I've been fine over the last few years with not being at the table on Thanksgiving, because we're in the kitchen on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? So Kip, it means the world, brother. It shows your heart. You know what I mean? Your smile, it lights up the damn room. Your energy is contagious. And for you to go out there and use your platform in this way, the Miss Betty's Cooking family will forever have love for you, forever have a room in our household. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's love. Thank you.
Well, thank you
brother.
all. And thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I just wanted to chat a little bit. Obviously, you know, we'll have more content coming out after supper in the coming days and weeks. But before we go, I know that y'all do more than just Mads Giving. Let folks know how they can keep up, or if they want to get involved, if they want to donate or volunteer, join the, you know, the team that's taking over the kitchen next week. That's usually when I'm my drunkest, is right there
Yeah.
at the end of that. Let folks know how they can get involved, what may be coming down the pike if they are, in fact, out
Yeah.
of town for Thanksgiving, but want to be involved in the next one. How can they do that?
No. This is, honestly, your guidance helps a lot because these are things that we don't think we're still learning this area when it comes to marketing and making sure that we still get the attention of the community. If someone isn't physically able to come in and volunteer their time, they can go onto our website, donate it to our GoFundMe. Our GoFundMe is still live right now. We can use every penny, every quarter, every dollar, every $5. If you want to donate 20, it doesn't matter. Every single bit will go towards the food. If when it comes to forgive me for my word choices, I apologize. Being Jamaican, we stumble over ourselves. But with that being said, when it comes to what we're going to be doing next year, we're going to be popping up around town a lot next year. And some locations, we're going to be at some locations more permanently for a period of time next year. So when it comes to Miss Betty's cooking, Miss Betty's grandson, Chef Tajahi Cooke, Danielle Cooke, basically go onto our website, follow us on our Instagram. You can subscribe to our newsletter and you can find out exactly what's going on. We will also be providing meals on December 2nd and the 16th to the Cherry Creek and Aurora Public School districts. From our studies and understanding, there's over 1,000 kids in each school district that are homeless. And apparently, homelessness is divided into two different definitions. One definition means that you are couch surfing or you're sleeping out of a car, or the other means that you're sleeping out of a tent on the side of the street. I never knew there were two definitions for homelessness, Kip, to be quite honest with you. That right there alone is an issue for it to be two definitions. Because what that means is that the individuals who are supposedly trying to help are basically letting you know that you have to be in a certain amount of seriousness before they can allocate funding or services to that particular person. You get what I mean? So right now, to find out more of what Miss Betty's Cooking are doing between the community and our dinners and our pop-ups and our curry spices, sign up for a newsletter. Follow us on our social media. That's really about it. Our work in the community is deepening, and I'm very proud of that. Because if we're going to sleep within this community, we're going to patron within this community, profit off of these communities, we have to make sure we have a community to go back to at the end of the day. Make sure neighbors have a community to go back to at the end of the day. You know what I mean? That's really about it. So all these tents and these communities and the homeless population going up, we have to address it. You know what I mean? So this is our way of addressing it. We are not rich. We are not any saint walking around. I am far from a damn saint. I'm just a chef. I am just a chef. But I'm a chef who just wants to do good. That's genuinely it. We all remember when we were teenagers when we used to make bad decisions, rough decisions. I used to challenge our parents. And I remember when I used to consciously make decisions to annoy my parents, consciously make decisions to disobey my parents or family or whoever. And this is us as adults consciously making decisions to help our community and set the right example of what needs to be set. That's it. And even examples that we're trying to follow our damn self at the end of the day.
I love it, man. Y'all are just too amazing. I love you. I love Danielle. I love what y'all are doing and standing up for in the community.
Brother, I love everything that you do as well. We all play a very vital role in this community. And I think some of us played very well. Like yourself, Kip. I think you've created a platform that you showcase the community brands, the community spirit in amazing, beautiful ways. And for me, I play a role where I just want to feed the community. You get what I mean? So we all play a very vital role. I'm just trying to play mine and asking the community to work with me.
Well,
So,
I
yeah.
love it. Thank y'all so much. I hope y'all have a kick-ass day. I mean, I'll
You
see
as
y'all
well.
in like 48 hours. But at the same
Definitely.
time, thank y'all so much for taking the time. I can't wait to
Oh.
open up my house to y'all. I can't wait for the community to open up their wallets to help out y'all. And I can't
Thank
wait
you,
for us
brother.
to eat well in the process.
I can't wait. I'm gonna tell you right now. I just picked up 3 cases of cinnamon rolls from a friend of mine. I'm gonna put one of them aside for you, Kip. And depending on where you're gonna be tomorrow, I'm gonna come and drop it off. This is a friend of mine. He makes the icing with cognac.
Oh,
I
shit.
swear, cognac malt liquor. It's freaking ridiculous. So I'm gonna put one in the freezer. Text me, let me know where you're gonna be tomorrow, and you expect one of these. All right?
Hell
You're a
yeah.
good man,
I'll
brother.
share the love with the community. Y'all just be on the
Please
lookout.
do.
We have 10 tickets we're going to offer up for last go for those that may have payday Friday. And if you're listening to this, just be on the lookout for that. But at the same time, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Until next episode, stay high, stay hungry. Cheers.
Appreciate it.